Okay. Welcome to the weekly Helm Dev meeting. It's November 20th, 2025. Just pasted the link to the meeting notes, and we might repeat some of what we just said beforehand. I'll just say too, we follow the CNCF Code of Conduct. Everyone knows that we're being recorded. And so if you don't want something recorded, don't say it or do it. Okay, so I think for the very start, I'm going to pass it over to Matt for announcements.
All right. So, for anybody who didn't notice, Helm 4 was released last week. Um, and so, yay, that's out the door. Helm 4.0.1 will be the second Wednesday in December. And so, as with any release like this, we're going to have bugs and issues. So, we need to target the second Wednesday to try to get any of the big ones out. Um, that kind of thing.
Awesome, very awesome. Okay.
That's it.
Uh, and as a reminder to anyone, there is a Helm release calendar, and there are also milestones which should match. The milestones in GitHub are the source of truth. So github.com Helm/Helm. Just click on the milestones tab, and you'll see. You can always remind yourself of when the dates are going to be. Okay, so over to Jesse as the first discussion item.
Sounds good. So a few days ago, I ran into this issue. This is with Helm v4, and this is involving the default option of having server-side apply enabled. But what the issue is if I am in a Helm template, I have an environment variable set. Suppose that I'm a user and I want to set an extra environment variable to override what that first one is. This would end up being rendered as a duplicate environment variable, which in Helm v3 would mean that the latter of the two environment variables would be applied into the container. In Helm v4, with specifically server-side apply, this will now throw an error. And so I need a way to apply a fix to my Helm chart, or either there or in the Helm code to deduplicate this somehow. And I want to know kind of, has anyone else, I'm sure you all have Helm charts where you expose environment variables. What are you doing so that you're not running into this?
Question I have is when you say exposing environment variables, are you saying within a deployment environment variables, or at what level are we talking about?
All right. I can show you real quick.
Even better.
So this is, I'll open up values and templates deployment. So in deployment, I have an environment variable set right here. This is on a test Helm chart I included in the issue. And in my values.yaml, I also want to, let's say that I want to set this to something else like Jesse.
So there's a best practice that can probably cut right through this. Use the environment variable as a key in a map as opposed to an array.
Okay.
That way, if you have any values file overrides, the merge
Dictionary.
will overwrite that, because otherwise it will continue to add those same. It won't know unless you like put the actual array key in. Yeah.
In addition, it's a dictionary, so it's got to be unique anyways as a key.
If that is the case, will that work with situations where you use things like if you have a secret key ref? Can you define that as a dictionary?
Yes.
Value can be in the dictionary, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything that's like a key value pair, you probably can put into a dictionary. And I think it's been a while since I've used it. There are dictionary commands that'll let you merge if you have a default set that's included and then overrides or changes, that you can merge those and then just output whatever's at the end and use that as a way to do it. My guess is that the reason it's handled this way is some security validation mechanism. So somebody didn't get in there and append something else over what's intended. Normally with these kinds of stream things, you want to go with the first one, not a later one as an override, because it's used in security situations where a malicious person, adds a second value for the same one later on, and it gets overrided from the primary. There's some funny security situations like that. That's probably why server-side apply does things a little bit differently than the merging we had going. Are you seeing this? What's the object type you're seeing this on, or the resource type?
This would be a list of environment variables, so a list of maps.
But is it in one of the core resources or something from a CRD? Like one of the built-in Kubernetes ones? I'm sorry, I missed the type. If it was a deployment.
Just deployment.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, it was just in a deployment. Yeah. It's probably just the diffing mechanism and handling that is doing it differently between the two.
I was going to say one more thing as well. It might just be a way you did the example, but it's completely unnecessary to have a default in the deployment and then also have a default on the values and then try and add the default from the values to the default in the deployment like you've done.
The values is not intended to represent a default from the chart. It's intended to represent a customer defined values.yaml. They want to customize something. So they want to override this.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would do it as a key value pair. This makes, I understand your use case. It makes absolute sense. I'm guessing it's the difference between the Kubernetes diffing system and the way it's handling certain validations. And to get around that, I would use the addict and basically key value pairs. So you're replacing the original one rather than sending more YAML over.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just need to actually try it.
Yeah. Let me know if you've got a problem with it. You can ping me and I'll try and give you any feedback on it, but that's what I would do.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I'm thinking I might want to move. Well, actually, no, I'll just be quick about this one. So I had some questions about the docs. So there is there's a pull request that I have to bring over to import the community files. I think we could basically, I'm thinking we can start this discussion and then maybe finish it on the like maintainers Slack discussion Slack. But since there are a few maintainers here, including one other org maintainer, just wanted to check in about this. Basically, Matt and other folks, it's importing the community files into the website. All the HIPs, the governance, and all that good stuff. A number of other projects have this, from like Prometheus to other files other projects where you go to the website and you get all the stuff. Their source of truth is still in the repos, but we have those. So I think my question really is about if we have mainly just planting the seed for thoughts about how we organize this, because I can paste a link to the I'm super sorry. That was actually a separate topic that I didn't put down. Sorry.
Yeah. So
my bad.
Yeah, for this, I can take a look at it, Scott. The
Okay.
one question that I'll have is what would we do to keep them in sync? Because what's needed to incorporate them into the website is different from the current content on them and how they're read over there. So how do you keep it in sync? And then if we have to make changes to what's in the community repo, how do you make sure it actually validates against what needs to be on the website? It's kind of that validation and syncing thing, so nothing's broken. And those are some of the questions that I'll have that we'll need to figure out, because a one-time sync is that gets it over there, but we do make changes to this stuff, and how does that get carried over and handled well? And those are the kinds of questions that I'll have, but I'll put it on the issue. And this comes to mind mostly because I actually ran into this exact same problem on something else this week, a syncing problem. So it's
great.
top of mind, and it's something entirely different from Helm.
Oh,
So it's just
perfect.
top of mind how this problem comes up. So
Awesome. I might have some solutions that can be basically the short answer is that during any local development, it always pulls in the updated files, and I have a GitHub action that can be manually triggered, but it's also just on a cron. And then it'll open a PR or update an existing PR if it's open with any upstream changes. I haven't pushed that yet, but I will give the details separately. Okay, well, that was the topic that I didn't write down. But the other docs
well,
topic.
and Andrew,
Oh, Andy.
Mr. Block has his.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I love the idea of making the hips more visible on the website. It makes it more approachable for contributors, but also parties who are just interested in Helm development of where the project is going, and and maybe make it easier for them to contribute a new idea of their own.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. I'll send you, or actually I can take a look at the PR. There's a Netlify preview. See what you think. I think it looks pretty good, but open for discussions, and also squash like a billion commits into like one commit. So just ignore that piece of it. Okay, and then this piece, I'll be quick about it, is about excuse me, about a response to Terry's PR, which is actually fine to merge now. I don't know. I don't think Terry's on the call yet, or on the call today, but in any case, it brought up a question that I have. Now that both plugins and charts share some similar qualities, some similar things because we use shared libraries for them. The OCI page, for example, only talks about charts. Do we want to have it also talk about plugins, or do we want to have a single page that has general OCI information, and then it links off to the respective pages for OCI repositories for charts and OCI handling for plugins? Do we have immediate thoughts about that? Is that something we want to think about and discuss later?
I think we should probably have a discussion about OCI since OCI is becoming, more adopted across the board. Just having a page in OCI and then having separate pages for OCI charts, OCI plugins, and whatever comes in the future.
The only thing I'd add here is that I think we should be careful, like from a like a logical perspective. Like if you combine this information, it probably makes logical sense. But I think a person who's going to the website to solve a particular problem, they probably want to understand how to download a chart or how to download a plugin. And we probably just want to make sure that those workflows are satisfied without having to like jump through a bunch of reference documentation.
Good idea. Matt?
So my suggestion would be, because we've got some what ifs here and some different ideas, maybe it's time we take a look at a content strategy and how we want to go about doing this and what we want to do, because we've got some ideas I see for bring the community stuff over. How do we want to handle OCI? Maybe we should do something with a little bit of intent and put together a content strategy, couple personas, who's coming, how do we want to help them find information, that kind of thing, to just help us figure this out.
Yeah, plus one to that. This isn't a topic that I have on there, so we don't need to delve too deeply into it, maybe for another day. But something that I was talking with the CNCF docs folks about was doing an analysis on the Helm doc site. So like the CNCF docs team has a formalized process for analyzing a doc site and walking through the steps. They have some templates you can use. So I had talked to them probably a couple of months back at this point about doing that. So that is something, again, like not a topic for today necessarily, but just wanted to throw it out there. And that's something that I can follow up more on if that is of interest.
We might actually have an issue open with the CNCF to do this already that
Yeah.
hasn't been tacked onto.
Yeah,
I need to
you
go look
did.
in the geo request. Yeah.
When I talked to them a couple months ago, they were like, it's on our backlog for October 2026, or like they have so many that they were like,
Yeah.
are you available? Do you want to do it? Do it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they are aware of it.
Yeah. I thought I remembered filing that. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, I remember I remember you did, Matt, and just as like to kind of put a punctuation mark on that one, I did follow up with them like I think it was if it wasn't the year before last, it was last year. And the 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 uh the response was we'd really love it to be community led, just like the website remake. And so yeah. Uh, Paige, yeah, if you do want to head that up and collaborate with folks like you were already doing, I think it would satisfy what they want too. So that'd be really
Yeah,
awesome.
that would be great. I can put together like an issue or something around that to track the work so we have something a little bit more shareable with this community.
Okay, all right. Well, that all of the things I wanted to get to were gotten to. Thanks. All right. Thanks, y'all. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. Am I pronouncing your name right? Feroz? Actually, is that person on this?
I don't think he's on the call. I think it's
Oh.
the same PR that he really wants merged, which I haven't had a chance to get to.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. On our list. So George, you are next.
All right, so I know we just talked about Helm 4.01 being later. Would there be an option to do a patch release with some of these fixes? Some of them, like one of them is particularly bad with server-side apply. Because when you update a chart, a new resource in that chart will actually be created with client-side apply. It's not terminal, users
Yes.
can work around.
Yeah, I mean, we could do one. That's the normal scheduled date. If we've got some major regressions, we can do one at any time. My suggestion is to do them not on a Friday, but to do them more in the middle of the week, Tuesday through Thursday. So if we've got a bunch of them and we want to cut a release, it's actually pretty straightforward to do. So we could go ahead and cut a release even next week if we've got a handful of them we want to get out. That's fine.
Okay, let me, in the interest of time, I will put these into the maintainer chat and we can discuss.
Okay. I was gonna say
Okay.
since it's Thursday, if we really are in a bind, I could do that and we could have folks shadow, but if it's okay to wait till next week too, that's also good.
Yeah, let's wait till Monday next week. It's just, yeah, next month might be longer than I would ideally like.
Awesome.
Yeah, if next month's gonna be too long, let's see if we can get a couple more in, because I see you've got a couple that are marked as open there that might want to get in. If we can get those in, we could even do it. Next week is the holiday week, but we could probably do something on like Monday, Tuesday.
Okay, let me aim for having this organized for Monday next week.
Okay.
I'm gonna raise my own hand and call on my own hand. Matt, just this is more of a something I wanted to formalize, but I think we've discussed perhaps doing it this way. If we do a release that's sooner than we expected, let's say it was a security release or whatever, my thinking was we change the milestone name in GitHub to the next milestone. So all of those things that were already scheduled for it stay scheduled for that next, and then update the date for that, or keep the date, whichever. Sorry, let me back up. Keep that date, but then add the new milestone that is the name as the same name as what we had before as the earlier one. Does that and just pull in those
Yeah,
things
we've done that before. Yeah, we've done that before. We
Okay.
shift them around. We kind of just do whatever with the milestones on GitHub as
Yeah.
whatever makes sense for a particular thing. A lot of times, because if we just cut it with everything that's there and we carry that over, then we'll create a new one and just move the open ones over rather than the closed ones. But whatever's easier logistically at the time is what we've always done. There's been no documented process. We just whatever's easy.
That makes sense. Okay, great. All right. Okay, then let's see. Those were all in one, right, George?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. Evans, you're next.
Cool. I just wanted to bring this to the group attention. There's a PR and also a HIP on supporting Git for dependencies. So if you have a Git repository and you'd like to pull dependencies from that Git repository, or Helm pulls charts from a Git repository, that is what the proposal is all about. I raise it up because Git has been there a while, so I'm just wondering whether some of you folks have attempted this, thought of using this, and whether there's been any caveats or problems in the past.
So there's actually a HIP PR which has quite a lengthy discussion. I recommend reading this from memory, and it's been maybe 18 months. The contention is, how do you ensure that there are processes repeatable, as in it's probably a good thing for development purposes, but if people are using Git in production and on a mutable tag, then this starts to become a problem potentially. So
Yeah.
I
I was just going to say, this is one of those things that people can even prototype through a downloader plugin, I think, right? So it's possible to do this whole Git flow, I think, as a plugin with like Git colon / is the location for the dependencies. We probably could have even experiment with it there before pulling it into the core to try to work out some of these bugs. There were objections and issues in the past, and I cannot remember some of the other ones right now offhand. It's been too long since I've dug into it, but there were other considerations around reproducibility and how do we want to handle certain situations that we never worked through.
You can even go as far as just doing native OCI content too. Not necessarily an OCI chart, but just OCI directory structure.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah, I mean, I think if I recall correctly, the conversation so far has been, we're not going to do that. That's what plugins, that's what the Gitter plugins are for, or the now named Gitter plugins are for. And we do have a Gitter that is a VCS Gitter. Only for plugins, though, it excludes charts deliberately because of the reasons mentioned. I'm not actually saying I totally disagree with the idea of what Matt was just suggesting, that it could be explored potentially, but that's where I remembered we left it. And I think that my question is, the one thing I just want to note is that it ties into an open hip of chart defined plugins. Because the big issue, I think, is why would we want such a thing in core at all? And I think the answer is, well, so people can use it in their charts for dependencies, right? And it won't split the community. You won't have to necessarily have a plugin in order to use it. Other tools like, I actually don't know if this is the case with Rancher, but let's say I do know it's the case with Flux, for example, but various controllers that manage Helm releases, if they don't have those plugins, then that community is split from that. You can't just install a plugin, for example. So until we, I guess I'm saying it's tied to that issue or that concept, because until we actually solve for the blockers for chart defined plugins, then that community would be split, and the only other option is to pull things like that into core. So
yeah, and it also means for things like pulling dependencies. Right now, everything's bundled in the Helm plugin. This would mean we'd either need something with Git to handle all of the Git built into Helm itself and then manage that like a libgit, or you're executing out to Git on the command line, which means you're requiring it. This adds added complexity. So while I'm slow to add it, it is it's worth exploring. And we've talked about it in the past, and I don't remember the details, but it was not a simple conversation.
yeah. So TLDR with the piece I was saying is that I would propose that we hold that decision until we decide what's going on with chart defined plugins, because if we solve that and that is sorted, then we could just simply say, okay, great, well, this can simply be a plugin like forever, and that there's no value in bringing it into core. But at least that was my summary, but we could revisit it, like you said. Okay.
Hey, Scott, in the interest of time, can we jump to mine, which is about next week's meeting?
Yes,
Because it
we
is
can.
US Thanksgiving next week, which means I expect a large portion of people not to be here. And so I just wanted to bring up the topic, given time of, we normally cancel it just because there's a large US contingent. Do we want to cancel it this time, or is there enough US non-US people who would like to still have the meeting?
I will not be here.
It won't be here.
I'm watching football, so no.
I'm gonna suggest we cancel next week's meeting, and we just officially mark it as that today.
Seconded.
Agree.
Okay, great. Uh, yes, Matt, you have the next one.
Well, I was actually going to say we should grab it's look at the time. We should get the people to do the duties to sign up for all that
You're
stuff.
right. Who wants to? Okay, so let's see. We know that there are a couple of topics open and a few hip reviews. But I think I'll skip the shout outs for now. And this, is there any social media stuff that is required? I think, is Karen on? No. So we're just gonna skip that. Okay, so who wants to moderate next week?
Post Thanksgiving. I can stick my name down.
Sorry.
I just
2 weeks from now.
I keep on getting pulled into a 9:30 a.m. meeting, so I'll stick my name down, but I will make sure I post in the maintenance chat if I can't.
All right. Do we want an understudy?
If you're not there, I'll do it.
Okay, perfect.
Great. Notes? I'll do notes.
You can put my
And-
name down for issue and PR. I will be around in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be putting time into that. I'd like to make sure we get the 4.0.1 release out and we get some of that. So please feel free to poke me on specific ones for that as well.
Awesome. I see Evans is already on too for issue and PR. I'll be on for PR review. Anyone else?
I can.
Okay, great. Okay, and then core maintainers who can be present 2 weeks from now. I guess that's at the very least. George, Matt, me.
I should be able to, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we have I guess 1 minute left, so sorry to Webb, who we didn't get to your topic, but we can follow up in the Kubernetes Helm Dev Slack. Are you in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no priority to this. This is just a question that came up as my team begins to look into Helm.
Awesome. Well, happy to do that in the meantime because it's going to be another 2 weeks before the next meeting. So
I'll be gone for Thanksgiving.
yeah. Okay, so thanks everybody. It was lovely to see you and chat with you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.